Tarantino is back. Hey everybody. So I just saw the Hateful Eight last night. Me and my brother went, and it was good. It was long, but it didn't feel that long. It's a little over 3 hours. I think it said 3 hours. IMDb says 3 hours 7 minutes. And I always believe that it doesn't matter how long a movie is; it's how long it makes you feel. So you can be in a 3 hour movie or a 4 hour movie and it feels like 2 hours. That's a good movie. But there are some movies that are like an hour, hour and a half, and it felt like 3 hours. Those are not good movies. So this was one of the ones that when I left the theater, I was surprised that 3 hours had gone by. And it's not highly action packed. I mean, it's a mystery story. Takes place in one area for the most part, the haberdashery, Minnie's haberdashery, which a haberdashery is kind of like a log cabin in the middle of almost nowhere. It's like a stopping point during the Western times, 1800s, where people could go have a place to refresh and be able to continue their journey. So the setup for this is Samuel Jackson is on the road. He's a bounty hunter, and he's got 3 dead bodies that he's trying to bring in to get the bounty on, but his horse had died. And along comes this carriage, and there's a blizzard following them, basically, coming in the same direction. And Kurt Russell is in the carriage, and he's also a bounty hunter, and he's got Jennifer Jason Leigh with as his prisoner, and he doesn't kill. Kurt Russell doesn't kill the people that he's hunting down as for his bounty. He turns them in, and they hang. So that's why they call him the Hangman, because most bounty hunters will just kill you and strap you to the horse to go get the bounty, but Kurt Russell's character always takes them in. So that's how the movie is set up and how it starts. They end up giving Samuel Jackson a ride because of the storm. And then they meet up with the sheriff for the next town. And they end up going with him too. He comes along. And they go to the haberdashery. And then they're all stuck there because of the blizzard. Now there's all of these characters we don't really know much about on purpose. We don't know who anybody is and what their motivations are or what their past is. Just very simple things. And then we learn about everybody's character along with the story. Mostly through Samuel Jackson's kind of point of view, through his character, because he's the one that we are with through the whole movie. And it's very much of a very character-driven story. And it felt like it could be a play. Now, stars Samuel Jackson, like I said, Kurt Russell and Jennifer Jason Leigh. There's also a bunch of other actors in there that are great, like Tim Roth. A lot of the ones that you would see in a lot of Tarantino movies. Written and directed by Tarantino. And the music. Now, when the movie first started, I was like, this music is good, but it sounds familiar. Like I've seen other movies that sounded like that, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I had to look it up. But it's Ennio Morricone. And he's been doing movie scores for decades. I mean, he did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a lot of the spaghetti westerns from the 70s. He did a lot of other Tarantino movies like Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained, Kill Bill. And I liked his music. It fit perfect with the Western, the whole Western feel and the mystery of it. So the movie felt a lot like a mix of Clue. I hope you guys remember that one with Tim Curry. Felt like Clue with Reservoir Dogs and a Western, just kind of all rolled into one. And we haven't really seen a movie like this from Tarantino before. Even though I'm comparing some of it to Reservoir Dogs, it's more because there's a lot of characters and we're learning about the characters through the movie. But other than that, they don't have anything to do with each other. So it's cool to see what he did with a mystery. Like, we don't know what happens, and then we try and figure out how they did it. We know nothing going into this. So you're along for the ride of finding out what the mystery is. But it takes place in just one small confined space. Now, Tarantino did a very interesting choice, which as a movie buff I loved. He decided to film it in Ultra Panavision 70mm. Those cameras had not been used in decades. People just didn't film with them anymore. He had to go to Panavision, and they still had the same cameras that they were using 50 years ago. And they refurbished them on the front to be able to house the lenses that they wanted to use. So he used real 70mm Ultra Panavision cameras, which are big. But it gives you that scale. I mean, insane wide shots that you would see in some of the really old movies like Gone with the Wind and The Ten Commandments or Ben-Hur. So he filmed it like that, and the outside stuff was gorgeous because it just felt so immersive, so massive. And then inside the cabin, you felt claustrophobic, but because of the way that the the screen is so wide, just about everybody is in the shot all the time. And so you really get a feeling of they are really in this place. There isn't a quick cut. There's a lot more longer shots, and then these other characters, if they're not in the acting part of it, you see them acting, but they're doing things in the background, like walking over and getting some soup or like they have to be actively doing something and engaged with what's going on, but they're not a part of the scene per se. If you filmed it with a regular, like 35mm or a digital, and you had a regular 1080p shot, then those actors just wouldn't be on set because they wouldn't even be in the camera. But because he's filming with that camera, everybody has to be there all the time. Otherwise, the shot wouldn't work. And I liked the way that from my movie guy perspective, not just audience perspective, but from the filming part, I loved that. I love that Tarantino decided to do that. This movie was almost not made because someone was an a-hole and leaked the script. And Tarantino was really pissed about it and wasn't going to do the movie. But then other people talked him down, and he decided to do it, thank God, because the dialogue and the characters in this movie are awesome. I mean, top-notch. I love that. A lot of movies nowadays, they can't write very good dialogue. And so they have to fill up that time with quick edits and explosions, which is cool for some popcorn movies, but it's nice to see a movie where you're engaged with what these people are saying to each other. The dialogue is so important because you don't know which character is, what their motivations are, and you really need to learn about that. So I liked that aspect. It felt like it could be a stage play because you have a few shots outside, but most of the movie takes place either in the carriage or in the haberdashery. So it could easily be a stage play. And I was telling my brother that. I was like, I wonder if he wrote this in mind of making it a stage play. And then tonight I saw an interview with Tarantino on DR30, and I'm going to put a link for it below because it's a great interview. You guys should watch it. Where he talks about he was considering making it a stage play, but if he did, there would be one part that would actually come before. So he'd have to rewrite some of the script to make it work as a stage play, but he's interested in doing that if the opportunity comes up. So I thought that would be an awesome stage play. I would want to see that live. The other thing I found interesting that was in the interview, and my brother pointed out that he thought there was something with Django Unchained maybe influenced or had something to do with the writing of it. And in the interview, Tarantino says that he didn't want to do a sequel to Django Unchained, but he thought it would be a good thing to have like paperback stories of what these characters do in other things. And actually went to a paperback company to see what they would come up with, and he had them send him some story ideas, and he wasn't too impressed with it, and decided, I'm just going to write, I haven't written a book before, I'm going to try and write it. And so he tried to write a Django storyline. But the way that he writes is he just starts writing it as if he's seeing it in his head like a movie, and he doesn't know where the characters are going to go. And so he was writing it with a lot of the stagecoach stuff. And then he said one of the problems he felt with the story was Django didn't fit. Because he wanted all of these characters to not have a moral center. Django has a moral center. Like, you know who that character is and you know what he would and wouldn't do. And he didn't want you to know what any of these characters would be able to do. Keep the mystery of it. And so he took out Django and put in the Major Samuel Jackson's character. And it fit. It fit so well. And I like the fact that it was at first go along the whole Django feel, but totally different. By the time he was done with that script, it didn't resemble Django at all, but it was good. Oh, I highly suggest watching that movie. Check out his interview below. I loved that interview. And let me know what you guys think. Did you guys watch it? I mean, it is violent. It's a hard R for a reason. It's a Tarantino movie. So tell me what you guys thought about it. What did you like, not like? And like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, and I will see you guys on the next video.